Okay, so once that tetrad is done, we can come in and start doing our dissonant palette. Sorry about the little glitch there, but yeah, dissonant. Next thing, we get that labeled and start working on that. Now, key to dissonance is you want your S and B sliders to be at 100. Some people, they'll read about dissonance and it'll sound just like random colors, but it's not just random colors. It's colors that are inherently going to clash, and part of that is having full saturation. If you start adding gray to the mix, that grayness will actually help link a lot of the colors. Like, even if, I don't know, let's just look over here for example. Like, if you've got this cyan here and this red here, even though those are complementary and they should vibrate when they're put next to each other, especially if you use these two here, but with these two colors here, because the values are similar and because the saturation is similar, they're not going to clash nearly as much as the fully bright ones there. So, first step in creating a dissonant palette is just put your S and B sliders at 100 and never touching them again. And then from there you can start moving around the wheel. I like 240. I'm going to say 300 or about 300. I want to see a 330 in there too. I like 330. That tends to clash with green pretty nicely. You can create some pretty insane visual vibration with that one there. And then of course we need red. And I'm just randomly placing those in here. I don't want it to look like a rainbow, even though it can very easily look like a rainbow. Right around hue 20 is a nice orange. We can go with sort of a yellow-orange around 35 to 40. So you see these three colors here are similar, even possibly most of these feel like they might be analogous, but once we start designing with them, we're going to have a lot of colors that are really not going to like sitting next to each other. It's going to hurt. And I'm just moving around. I like that sea green there. Like if you put that and this violet next to each other, you can get some pretty good vibration off of that. These two are complementary, so those will work too. Go with the cyan, maybe a little red around hue 200 as well. 215. Okay, so it's looking pretty good, right? But I'm missing 3. So I'm going to say I don't see any violet. I don't, let's see, green. Green looks pretty good. Orange, red. Okay, so the one exception to that S and B slider at 100 rule would be black. And I think everybody could use black just once. It sometimes does a very nice job of breaking apart some of the colors. You have to use it sparingly, but it can be used. And then I keep thinking I want something else in that green, but we got it covered. Blue, green, yellow, green, and sort of a true green. So maybe let's look at that cyan, see if maybe we need a little bit in the blue range. No, let's go back over to warm. I'm not seeing a lot right in there. So maybe that color there. It's sort of in between here and here. So this palette here now looks pretty good. I think you're okay with this. And the reason that you would be okay with a palette similar to this is you have colors from all over the color wheel, and you've got 16 different colors you're working with, and with the exception of black, they're all fully saturated. SMD sliders are at 100. So when you start putting any of these colors next to each other that aren't analogous or adjacent on the color wheel, they're going to shake. This violet and this magenta here, those are actually going to create a sense of vibration, even though they're somewhat similar, but because they're so bright, they're going to shake. And then once you're done with that, you can head over to palette number 3 and do whichever of the color schemes that you want to do. And while you're looking at them, with the first and the third one, always keep an eye on value. Look at that, in grayscale, and you'll be able to see exactly what's going on. Right? You can even look at your dissonant palette in grayscale if you want. Like, why not? You're not controlling the S and B sliders, so it seems like maybe there wouldn't be a good range of value. But look at that. I mean, that's excellent, right? That gives you everything you need in terms of value to design with. So on the third one, do the same thing as you did with the tetrad, except obviously the hues are going to be different. And then check it in grayscale. Make sure you have a really broad range of value and saturation to design with. And then go back to color relativity and depth and look at how those apply to your color selection. So, all right, if you do have any questions, though, please let me know.